And my role this morning is to introduce a discussion on how we actually make the theory of Industry 4.0 work in practice. Because to quote Klaus Newman in his contribution, it is not as easy as it looks. And certainly in my time over the last few days at the conference, talking to a number of Australian businesses, in particular small and medium businesses, but also in the bilaterals that I've had, I'm really delighted that so many of them are taking that opportunity, in particular to speak with those who are here from Germany and are quite literally embracing Industry 4.0 and learning from them how to make better connections, how to develop business relationships and ultimately advance their interests. We all know it is a given that the world of manufacturing is changing. And the question, as Janine so rightly put to our panellists, is though, how do we make Industry 4.0 work? And the key to that very much, when you do listen to what each of our panellists has said, is collaboration. In terms of the disruption of traditional processes, we've all seen, and in fact, I think we all live and breathe quite literally, technology and digitisation disrupting our traditional processes. And in fact, Industry 4.0, as we know, is the digitisation of the manufacturing process. But what we need to be well and truly aware of, and in particular small and medium businesses in Australia, is that digitisation is not the future of manufacturing. What it actually is how manufacturers the world over are gaining a cutting-edge advantage right now. And so very much our focus as an Australian government needs to be ensuring that we are giving our businesses, and in particular our small and medium businesses, all of the opportunities and the tools that they need to ensure that they're able to embrace Industry 4.0. In that regard, it is very much the responsibility of enterprises to examine their own business models, identify how they can emulate the practices of globally successful firms, and then adapt it to what they're doing in Australia so they can then go above and beyond. It's also then, though, the responsibility of industry and government to work cooperatively, and certainly that's what the Australian government is doing, to design the standards and reference architecture of what Industry 4.0 means for us. And then the role of government is very much to empower industry, to digitise and to embrace the disruption that we're seeing as a result of Industry 4.0. But as David Singleton said in his discussion, it is very much possible to adopt and embrace the disruption, but very much we do need to look to those who are doing it so successfully, and Germany is certainly that prime example. As Matthias said in his contribution, Australia works very, very closely with Germany. We know that Germany is at quite literally the forefront of setting the standards for digital transformation and automation. And that is why the Prime Minister quite deliberately set up the Prime Minister's Industry 4.0 task force. Because what we want to do as a government is ensure that our businesses here in Australia, and we're a long way away from the rest of the world, but we want to ensure that our businesses here are able to compete and continue to compete on the global stage. I just want to give you some domestic examples in relation to what the government is doing to embrace and empower businesses in relation to Industry 4.0. As you've already heard, it really was an absolute pleasure to be with Matthias Cormann and also Dr. Roland Bush on Friday at the University of Western Australia to announce that the government is making a $5 million investment to establish 5 new Industry 4.0 test labs across Australia. The program is called Test Labs for Australia, and very much it is focused on helping small and medium enterprises, and we have so many of them in Australia, take advantage and understand how they're able to embrace the opportunities that are offered by Industry 4.0. In terms of what the test labs are going to do, they are going to create opportunities for our small and medium enterprises to experiment with and incorporate the latest technologies into their own operations and to then embrace digital innovation. But it's not just about the small and medium enterprises. As we know, we also need to get to our students. Students in this regard will also directly benefit as they build the skills required to capitalise on the technological opportunities presented by Industry 4.0. In terms of the contribution, though, of Siemens, I cannot thank them enough and yet again acknowledge them. They are basically giving their software and making it available to Australian test labs free of charge. An almost $500 million investment in Australia to better equip our industry to participate in Industry 4.0. And again, on behalf of the Australian government, we extend our great appreciation. Just in terms of where we sit, I listened very carefully to each of our panellists, and I think the very, very clear message that we can take from those who are quite literally already embracing Industry 4.0 is that every single Australian manufacturer has the ability to advance. But what they need to do is very much, if they haven't done this already, take the time to look at their own business model and look at, again, how they can emulate the already successful practices of global firms. In relation to a domestic example that has done this incredibly successfully, S Manufacturing. They are a company, they are a steel fabrication company, and they're a business located in Yatala in Queensland. They run a fully automated steel manufacturing system from ordering through to fabrication and then design. What they have done is develop a system that is integrated and interoperable. So what the system now enables them to do, because it reacts in real time to changing conditions, including material variability and environmental conditions. Their ability to bring on board this change has quite literally now made them the leading company in Australia in their field. So in terms of examples of where small and medium businesses have literally embraced the opportunities that Industry 4.0 is giving us, this should show small and medium enterprises in Australia that they are able to do it. So in terms of the Australian perspective and where the next chapter in Australian manufacturing is going to be, it very much is going to revolve around a sector based on smart people, smart production, but also the continual search for products that add high value to consumers. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I will now hand over to Jans, who is going to facilitate the next practical stage of this session.